Hey folks, welcome. My name is Emily and this is Gently Chaotic Knits, which is normally a fairly regular, well, I don't know why I would even say that. I haven't been super regular, but this is generally a video podcast where I talk about knitting and other crafting, which will probably be a lot more spinning now that I started spinning yarn as well. So mostly knitting, spinning, some other stuff. Sometimes I'll talk about general life stuff. I started out at the beginning talking some about baseball too because that's an interest of mine, but I haven't been doing that for a while. Again, my name is Emily. I live in Seattle, Washington with my husband Nofus and our pup Norman, who sometimes likes to make an appearance on the podcast and is a little active today, so we'll see if he decides to come hang out with us at all today. And otherwise, yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. Welcome, hello, hi. I'm happy to be chatting with you wherever you are today. Happy to be back. It's been a couple weeks since I last recorded, and oh my goodness, I have so much to share. I'm feeling so excited and inspired. There's stuff I've finished, there's stuff I've cast on, there's stuff I'm planning, I own a wheel now, oh my gosh. There's just, like, the last couple weeks have been busy and crazy and incredible and amazing, and yeah, I am really excited to have some time today to sit down and chat with you all. So also, I realized that it didn't occur to me and I didn't say anything about it, I think or maybe I did, but I don't remember saying anything about my 50th podcast episode, which was, I guess, exactly 10 episodes ago, because today, I believe this episode is episode 60, which is really fun. So happy episode 60. If there are any of you that are watching this that have actually watched from the beginning, wow. That's dedication, man. That is really dedication. Also, I just don't, I don't know. So occasionally, sometimes I will go back and, like, I have to check something, or like I'll want to see, like, I'll be curious, or like, oh, did I ever talk about this on the podcast or whatever, and I'll go back to some of the old episodes. I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I think it's just, I don't know, queasiness with seeing yourself on screen and stuff. But anyway, let's talk about all the incredibly fun stuff. Like, sometimes I do some, I guess I'm doing it now, but like some little banter here at the beginning of the episode before I get into the knitting stuff, and I just am too excited about all the knitting stuff, so I'm just gonna talk about it. And you guys may have noticed what I'm wearing, and it is also my first finished object. It is the port sweater by Ozetta, and I'm realizing I don't know if my camera is set up like a little bit differently than it normally is. Like, I feel like it's pointed a little high. I don't know, my tripod is was in a different setup because I was taking photos this morning. Sorry, that was probably I probably shouldn't have been talking during that time. Did I change it at all? Also, like, based on the lines of the frames in the background, it looks like it's not straight. We're just gonna go with it. I can get up, like, on my knees a little bit so you guys can see the whole sweater, and this one's a little longer than some of the other sweaters that I knit. Normally I knit crop sweaters, so you don't even need to see all the way down. But I finished the port sweater by Ozetta. This pattern, this project altogether has just been such a dream. Like, I can't tell you all how much I loved knitting this, how much I love the finished object. Absolutely all across the board, 10 out of 10 for me. Love this project. Highly recommend it if you're interested in knitting it. This is a great pattern. Again, it's Port by Ozetta. Came out this year, came out like a month ago or something. I knit this sweater in almost exactly 3 weeks, I believe. Actually, it may have been just under. Was it just under 3 weeks? I guess I cast it on, let me look at a calendar really quick because I don't think I have my Ravelry page updated yet. Cast it on February 4th and then bound it off on the 23rd. So that would be less than 3 weeks. Yeah, just just under 3 weeks, a really quick knit, and a really enjoyable knit. I knit this along with my friend Maya. We love to make matching sweaters. I've talked about our matching sweaters before on the podcast here, and also have shared photos of us on my Instagram as well if you follow me over there. But Maya and I love making matching sweaters, and so we wanted to knit these sweaters together, and so we actually cast on the same day, and then we also finished on the same day. We actually bound off our sweaters on the same day as well, and like that was not, we weren't like, one of us wasn't waiting for the other to bind off or anything. It just like happened that way, and I really love that. Like I don't know, that really, I feel like I'm such a sucker for that kind of thing. I feel like that's really cute and sweet. But anyway, she knit hers in a beautiful like Odie brown color in Gilead from Rerum Natura, which we carry at La Mercerie, which is the yarn store that I work at. And I knit mine in Ulysse, which is a finer weight version of Gilead actually. And I held it with one strand of Suri alpaca from Grenouille. So let me go back and say the yarn I used more clearly. I used one strand of Ulysse from Rerum Natura. So that's the base. Rerum Natura is the brand. And then the colorway name is Cypres. And then I also held with it one strand of Suri alpaca lace. So that's a lace weight yarn with a blend of alpaca, baby alpaca, or Suri alpaca and silk. And from Grenouille, which is my favorite indie dyer, my favorite yarn dyer. And that colorway is Nacht Musik, which is one of my very favorite colors of all time. And I don't have much of it left. I don't know if I have any left. I may have like just little bits of it. I have a little bit of the Ulysse. Okay. I showed this on previous episodes. You can see when I had more of it. The colors are a pretty good match. They're not exactly the same color. The Ulysse is a little bit lighter and the Suri is a little bit darker, but really beautiful. They went beautifully together and made a really stunning fabric. I think the Suri being hand dyed, it has like a little bit of variation in it. And so it gives the fabric this really beautiful depth, but it's not like too variegated to be kind of like pooling or like too busy or anything. I definitely prefer tonals and like solid yarns for garments. And so I think this, like the hand-dyed Suri, just gave it a really beautiful depth. And I really, really love the fabric. I think it's got a really nice drape to it, but the Ulysse is a little bit lighter and woollier, and so it's kind of like not so heavy that you might get if you did all superwash yarn. So the Ulysse is a non-superwash sport weight wool, 100% merino wool, but it is a little bit lighter. I believe it's actually semi-woolen spun. So there's quite a bit of air in it as well. And I think that makes the fabric really beautiful and not too heavy. So it's really, really nice. The construction of the sweater was really fun. It is top down, which I definitely prefer. Cast on, it's a drop shoulder. As you can see, it has this really fun ribbing detail on the edge of the drop shoulder, which I really love. I don't know how well you can see it because I know the fabric is pretty dark, but I'll try to scoot up a little bit. But you can see the ribbing there, which is really fun. It has, so yeah, you cast on at the back and you do the back, and then you do the front, left and right front, and join them at the neck, and then knit them down and join under the underarm and do the whole body in the round, and then pick up around the armholes and do the sleeves. It has long ribbing. It's like 5-inch ribbing. Normally I feel like a standard sweater has like 1.5 to 2 inches of ribbing, and this sweater has 5 inches of ribbing both on the sleeves and on the body. So that is definitely a design detail that I really love. I can't say that I loved knitting 5 inches of ribbing. I mean, it was fine. It didn't go too slowly because it's a pretty large gauge, but I think it's just like a beautiful finishing to have like the extra long ribbing. Okay, so let me tell you all a couple of things that happened to me as I was making this. I feel like while the design itself and the yarn and everything was a dream. I did have a couple of hiccups with this sweater. That one is still kind of giving me some anxiety, and I'll just tell you guys about it. Totally, all of this I want to say is like totally my doing, not like, I mean, not that you would even think that, but like not the yarn or the design's fault at all. So one thing that happened to me is I was doing the bind off on the body. So it's a tubular bind off, which I have talked about before. If you're unfamiliar, it is a sewn bind off technique. So you cut a really, really long tail, put your yarn on a tapestry needle, and then you have a specific way that you pull the stitches off of the needle to bind them off. Like you're sewing them, kind of sewing the edge of the sweater shut. And I was doing that. I was actually at the ferry terminal on Bainbridge Island. I had just worked a day at the shop at La Mercerie, and I was waiting to get on the ferry. And so I was like, I always go and I sit on the floor in the ferry line so that I can knit. I mean, I'll knit sometimes standing up, but I don't know. I prefer to sit down. So I was just sitting crisscross on the floor in line at the ferry terminal. And I was binding off, and my Ulysse, my strand of Ulysse that I was sewing the tubular bind off with, just broke. And I got really freaked out because I didn't want to join a new like strand of Ulysse because I don't know, I didn't want to like weave the ends, and I didn't want it to affect the structural integrity of the edge of the bind off. And so because this is a non-superwash yarn, I decided to just go ahead and spit splice it together. Since it broke, I basically just like spit spliced it together, but I got definitely some strange looks from the other folks that were in the ferry line because I'm already like sitting on the ground. Everyone else is standing up. I'm like sitting on the ground, and then I start like trying to discreetly like spit into my hand, which like hopefully this isn't gross to y'all. I know some people spit splice with water. I didn't have great access to water. I think I had my water bottle, so I maybe could have done that, but like I don't know. It didn't bother me too much. I had hand sanitizer with me. When I was done, I cleaned my hands up, but I was like spitting into my hand and like doing the spit splicing like on the floor in the ferry terminal. And I actually like I did it once and I didn't do a good enough job, and then it kind of came apart. And so I was really nervous. Like the bind off is definitely a place that you don't want to have like weaknesses, because if it pops, that just feels really bad. But I think it's going to be okay, especially because I am holding that strand of Suri with it, which I think will give it enough strength. I don't think it's going to like pop open. And so I did the spit splice again, and it did stick better. And then I kept going and I bound off. So that was one problem. The other problem, well, there are two more problems. One other problem is that I was just not paying attention well enough. And the pattern calls for 2 different needle sizes, and normally when a pattern calls for 2 different needle sizes, if it's a plain stockinette pattern, you expect that you go down a needle size for the ribbing. That's just like a common thing. And so I just assumed that all the ribbing on this sweater was knit down a needle size. The truth is that just the neck ribbing is down a needle size, and that the sleeve and body ribbing is not intended to be down a needle size. You're supposed to do that on the same needle, because if you look at like pictures of the sweater, and also you can look at mine a little bit, it's supposed to be kind of like a straight down, just like fit shape for the body. It's not supposed to cinch in. And I didn't realize that. Like, I don't know. I knew that it wasn't supposed to cinch in. I had seen pictures of it, and I should have that should have occurred to me that it would not be down a needle size, but it didn't occur to me. And so I knit the ribbing on the body down a needle size. And so I was really nervous that it was going to be cinched too much, and you guys can see like it's not. And the reason is because like I actually pinned out the
bottom of the body to make sure that it wouldn't cinch in. I actually pinned it out a little bit farther out than the stockinette part, just so that if it relaxed at all or if it cinched in at all when I took the pins out, that it would still kind of fit the line of the body. And it worked just fine. I was really nervous about it, and it worked just fine. But I did actually stay on the correct needle size for the cuffs. So anyway, that was one problem that ended up not really being a problem. The last problem, which could still be a problem, is that, Norman, what are you doing? What? What are you looking for? Okay. The last issue is that my process for weaving in ends is that I do it before I block the sweater. So I weave in the ends, and then I got this really great tip from my friend Katie that she does the same thing, and she just ties a knot in each of her strands to signify that she already wove the end in. So she'll like weave an end in, tie a knot, weave an end in, tie a knot, and then she can tell easily which ones she's already done. And then after you block it, you trim all the ends. The reason that I do it that way, and some people may be wondering, like, why would you do that? I personally find that if you weave in the ends and then you block it, the ends kind of like relax into the fabric really well. Whereas if you block it first and then weave the ends in, you can sometimes see where like your end may have like tugged your stitches a little bit. And so I just really like the way that the fabric all relaxes together if you weave the ends in first. But because of that, if you weave the ends in first and then you trim, like if you weave the ends in and then you trim them and then you block it, sometimes when the fabric relaxes a little bit, the ends will get like drawn into the fabric a little more. And so I prefer to like give a longer tail for the ends before blocking so that they have that little bit of like leeway to relax into the fabric, and then I just trim them all at the end. So this strategy that Katie told me about is perfect because I can just tie knots and then I know which ones I've done and I can get them all woven in and I can block and everything's great. And theoretically, like that would work really well if, one, I did a good job of finding all the ends, and two, I checked for a knot before trimming them. Because what happened was it was like 6 a.m. on Sunday before I drove down to Tacoma to meet Maya to go to Rose City Yarn Crawl, which I'll talk about more later because I went to Rose City Yarn Crawl and that was really fun, which if you don't know what that is, Rose City Yarn Crawl is a yarn crawl in Portland, Oregon, so just a couple hours south of where I live. And so Maya and I decided to go just on Sunday because I don't need to get into all of this now. Basically, the point is I had to get up really early so that I could get down to Portland, and my sweater was still drying the night before. So I got up in the morning and I trimmed all my ends, and I trimmed one. I was so tired that I was just like autopilot, like trimming them all. And I trimmed one, and then I looked at the strand and there was not a knot in it. And then I started freaking out and was like, I just trimmed an end that I hadn't woven in, and I was like, there's gonna be a hole in my sweater. And so I went and I checked and I couldn't find it. I only vaguely remembered where it was the end that I trimmed. Because again, it was like really early and I was like still groggy and out of it. And so there may be a spot in my sweater where I just like cut the yarn and it could unravel at any moment. And I have like, I'm very anxious about this. And there's also a chance that I wove in the end and I forgot to put a knot in it. But normally, like before I did the knot strategy, I would just kind of look and I'd be able to tell if I wove the end in or not. But because I did the knot strategy, I wasn't doing that. And I was just like, oh, I wove all these in, blah, blah, blah. And then like go and cut them all. And I think I may have cut an end that I didn't weave it. And I think it's like right here, like on the back shoulder. So yeah, that's my B. That's my bad. And I hope you all wish me luck. If it unravels, like I mean, of course not if like the entire thing unravels, but if I'm gonna keep checking it every time I wear it and see like at the spot where I think it is, and if I see something's starting to loosen a little bit, or like a stitch pop, or like a hole or whatever, then I'll go in. I have some extra yarn and I can reinforce it. But for right now, I'm just like, I don't even know exactly where it is. There's no point in me going through and like reinforcing the whole area. So I'm just leaving it and hoping that I actually wove it in. So anyway, I've talked about the sweater probably far too long and all of its turmoils, which are, as you now know, 100% my fault. But still overall, I'm really happy with the end result. The fabric feels incredible. It's so cozy. It's so warm. I've already worn it, I think, every day since I finished it. I wasn't even planning to wear it yesterday, but I just threw it on when I got cold because it's the perfect sweater to just like toss on because it's so cozy and warm. The other thing I forgot I was going to talk about as well is the turmoil that I went through to get pictures of this sweater today. Oh my gosh, y'all. First, I took, Maya and I took a couple pictures together of us wearing our sweaters together, and I shared those on, or I shared one of those photos on Instagram as well. And I can put a picture up here of the two of us as well. But if I remember to. But I also wanted to get some more pictures just of me wearing it so that I could do some like detail shots and you can see like the whole body and everything. Anyway, wanted to get some more pictures of it, and so I was coming home from therapy today and I was like, I'm just gonna stop at a park near our house and hop out. I actually brought I had a little bit of forethought before I went to therapy, and I was like, I'm gonna bring my tripod so that I can go to a park on the way home and just like hop out, take a couple pictures, and then come home. And so as I was driving to the park, I noticed that it started to hail, and it wasn't too bad at first, but it was just like kind of hailing, and I was like, I don't know, should I just go home or whatever? And then I was like, no, it's not a big deal. I'm just gonna go try to take some pictures. I'll stay close to the car. If it starts hailing a lot, like I'll run to the car. And I was like wearing a hat as well, and I was like, my head's pretty protected. Like, I'm gonna be fine. I'm just gonna run and try to like take, and it was small, like really small. Like, I don't want you all to think that I was like out there getting like pelted. It was like little tiny, it was basically just like snow. So, but there were little pieces of hail and it was hailing. So I got to the park and like ran into the trail that I wanted to take pictures at and got my tripod set up and everything, started taking pictures. It started to hail a little bit more, I'll put some of the pictures up. You can actually see in my pictures, you can see the hail. Like, you can see that it's hailing. Like there's one where you can see there's like a white line kind of in front of the sweater, which is like a piece of hail falling. And then there's also like another picture where you can see like the little pieces of hail that have collected on the sweater. So it starts hailing, and then it starts hailing harder, and it's hailing harder. And still, it's not like hurting me or anything. Like, I'm physically fine, but I was like, I think I better go home. I already gotten like a couple pictures I was happy with. And so I go back to the car, get in the car, and I realize, shoot, it starts hailing really hard. It's hailed so much so quickly that the entire roads are just like covered in little tiny icy hail balls. Like, have made a complete layer. It's essentially like icy ball bearings, like little tiny ball bearings all over the road. And so I was like, okay, I'm really close to home. Like, this isn't gonna be a problem. The problem is that I live on top of a hill. And to get back to my house from where I was, I had to drive up a very steep brick road with tiny, like a whole layer of like icy ball bearings on it. And I probably should have just like waited, or like, I don't know, there wasn't really a better route for me to go. I don't know. What I really should have done is gone home, like thought that, oh, Emily, it's hailing. That's not just a problem for like you physically when you're outside, but also like could make the roads dangerous. But it's crazy because I was only, like, it's not like I was there for like an hour. I was taking pictures for less than 5 minutes. Like, truly, it was not very much time at all. And so I drove up the hill, and it was very touch and go for a minute. It was very slick. I was certainly sliding all over the place. And I ended up I made it home safely. Everyone was okay, but it was a little bit of a, like a little bit of a scare. Because it was so slick and it was wild because it only hailed for like, I don't know, 15 minutes, but it was like so much hail that the entire roads were covered with little tiny pieces of hail. So anyway, that was another part of this sweater, the saga of this sweater. I feel like what has it been, 25 minutes. Y'all are probably like, Emily, please talk about something else. And I will. But I just want to share with you all of the fun pieces of this make and this sweater. But I'm really happy with it. I think there's a chance that like at some point in my life I knit the sweater again. It was really enjoyable to knit. I would love to have it in another color. I'm not a big person that like knits patterns a second time. I think for me, like if I'm knitting for the rest of my life, I think there's a chance that I will do it. Excuse me. I will do it again, but I don't think it's going to be like super soon. But I do really love it. And that's my like, to give you an idea of how much I loved knitting this sweater and the finished object, I think there's a good chance I will knit it again eventually. So anyway, that is my first finished object. Wow. Okay, I feel like I need water. And I also feel like I need chapstick. So sorry if this is like a weird interlude. Also, by the way, I think I talked about this in Vlogmas last year, but by far the best chapstick flavor is the seasonal candy cane flavor. I don't make the rules. That's just the way it is. It is the best one. Okay. Also, I think I talked about this in Vlogmas too, but if anyone else has a wallet like this, highly recommend. I just put my chapstick in the top, like zipper part of my wallet, and then I zip the zipper on top, and then it fits in my wallet, and I have it with me all the time. Anyway, this is not a chapstick podcast. This is not a chapstick podcast. Let's talk about the rest of the stuff I'm knitting. This, I wish y'all could see. I guess I could point you at it, but I already have the camera set up. The mayhem. Everything, I did not, like I took some notes before starting to record today. I think you guys can probably feel right now that my energy is a little bit chaotic. Y'all have watched, if you have watched the podcast, other episodes, y'all can probably tell that like my energy does vary. There are times that I'm like more on the chaotic side of the gently chaotic. And there are times that it's a little more gentler. And today we're just like total chaos mode. But yeah, I took a couple of notes. I did not take great notes before starting today. And then also just kind of like threw everything onto the couch next to me. And so it is quite chaotic, but we have a lot to get through. And I just talked about that sweater for 30 minutes. So we're really like, I hope y'all are ready and like buckled in, because this, I feel like it's going to be a long one. But next, let's talk about my next finished object. So I was not expecting to finish this week. I honestly like had just kind of put this one on the back burner and was like knitting it a little bit in bed at night when like Nafis and I were reading, and like just, I don't know, putting on a couple rows here and there. But I was actually pretty close, and so I did finish my Harlow hat. And it's just, I mean, it's a hat, so it's like quick anyway. But I finished my Harlow hat. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. Also dark teal. We know that I'm obsessed with dark teal right now. I used Spincycle yarn, dyed in the wool, which is their sport weight base. And I used two colors, the main color here, so the outside color, or I can also hold up the skein if you want to see. This color, the darker color, is the colorway Leith, I believe is how you say it, L-E-I-T-H. And then the contrast color, which you can see better on this side of the hat, because the hat is actually like reversible, is called Summer Love. And here's the leftover skein of that one too. So it's a really fun This one is much more what you expect from a Spincycle. The like slow color changes, goes through like green, teal, cream, yellow. And then I did actually put a marker on where I showed y'all I was last time. This is my marker from last time, so I did finish from there. That's where I was when I last recorded, which I guess was a couple weeks ago. I have not blocked it yet. I can also try it on. Sorry, I probably have hat hair because I was wearing a hat. I will probably wear it mostly cuffed. It's also doing this like kind of slanty thing. Here it is not cuffed. Do I have the main color side on? I'm not sure. And then let me put it cuffed too. It's definitely, maybe I can fix it, the slanting thing. I also have a bun in the back of my head, so that's like affecting. It's definitely doing like the kind of twisty thing. So anyway, here it is. This is the hat. I will probably wear it with the single cuff most of the time. I probably could have, thinking about like how tight this, like how this is sitting on my head right now, I'm feeling like I could have knit it a little bit longer. I definitely had the yarn to do that. I just knit it, I think roughly to pattern. I may have added half an inch or so. I probably should knit a little bit longer, but maybe my bun is just affecting how low I can sit on like my ears and stuff. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I will most likely wear it on this side where it's like mostly blue, but then if you fold it over, the like Summer Love is really visible here on the cuff part. Wow, I'm really into this. Like this is pretty cute. It is a 2-color brioche. Gotta put some kind of hat on because of the hat hair. It's a 2-color brioche pattern, pretty simple. Basically, I remember doing the 2-color, is it the 2-color tubular cast on, which was new to me, but I remember it being fine. I think I probably talked about that when I cast this on. I cast this on a long time ago, like months ago. But yeah, otherwise it's just like basic 2-color brioche, and then you have to do some decreases at the end. I did do the decreases like leaning the wrong way a couple times, and so I had to go back and fix it. But this is what the decreases look like. And honestly, I haven't really looked a ton at what they look like on the inside. Oh, they look kind of cool on the inside. I really love these colors. Like, I think it's really fun. So, yep, finished that. I really need to block it and weave in the ends, but I have not done that yet. So, that is my second finished object for the last couple of weeks and my only other finished object. Now, let's talk about works in progress. So, a couple things, and actually, I think all of them are new. Yeah, because last time when I talked about my whips on the last episode, I think it was just this and this, right? I guess I can check that. Is that it? Yeah, these were my only 2 works in progress last time, and I finished them. So, I mean, I guess I think I have a pair of socks that I've knit the first sock, and I don't think I've even cast on the second sock. So I guess that's technically a work in progress, but I haven't worked on that. And that's not even, like, I don't even have live stitches on that. So that doesn't count. I have 3 new works in progress to share with you all. Let's start with, where is this? Sorry, this is really chaotic. I was carrying this one with me, like in my purse again when I went to therapy this morning. And so, do I have it here? Where's the thing? No, I'm sorry. It's really chaotic today. I have a little bit of it. Okay, here it is. Found it. Okay, we're good. So I decided, I've been eyeing the Corrie Confetti yarn from Aimée, and it is a yarn that we carry at La Mercerie. Sorry, I don't know why I just defaulted to start knitting on this, because it's just like, I don't know, it's really fun and satisfying. But we carry the Corrie worsted and Corrie Confetti yarns at La Mercerie, which is the yarn store that I work at, which I say that every time. I probably should just, I don't know, should I just say it at the beginning and then y'all will remember?
you all remember, I work at a yarn store, Suri, and we carry this yarn. And so I had been eyeing it for a while, and then I was like kind of in between projects since I finished this one, and I hadn't cast on a new like garment project yet. And so I was like, I don't know, I'm really feeling accessories. Like I feel like it could be really fun to work on some accessories. I've also been really wanting a pair of mittens because we have a dog and we take the dog outside on 3 walks a day, and it's been cold and it's been wet, and I normally wear gloves, but my hands are always so cold. And I thought that, well, one, if I knit something for myself out of wool, that would be nice and warm, but also I thought if I did mittens, maybe my hands would stay a little warmer because my fingers could like share heat, like they could share body warmth. I don't know the science behind that, if that's true or not, but I was like, maybe I need mittens instead of gloves. So I decided I've been saying for a long time I want to knit myself some mittens, and I finally decided on yarn and pattern for it. So I got 2 skeins of Corrie Confetti from Aimée, from my yarn store, Suri, and it is the most fun yarn. It's so, like, this is magical. It's so much fun. Let me show you all also. Look at that. Like, just look at the label. How fun is that label? With the little sheep and like the gold and the confetti, like it's so much fun. But it's a really, really nice yarn. So it has a little bit of a different fiber content than Corrie worsted because it does have like recycled bits in it. So Corrie Confetti is 50% Falkland Corriedale, 30% natural recycled fibers, and 20% Aimée recycled threads. So I think that 20% is all the colorful little blips in it. But it also has a ton of other recycled fiber in it too, which I think is part of what makes it really soft. Like the Corriedale is nice, but recycled fiber, my guess is that's a lot of merino or like other really soft wools. And so it's really, really soft. It feels incredible, and the little like speckles, the little confetti bits are so much fun and really, really enjoyable to knit. And so anyway, I picked this up on Saturday. I grabbed 2 skeins of it because I want to make the Manhattan mitts and the Manhattan hat by Tori. I think she's maybe Tori knits like NYC or something, like Tori, like some, I think she's in New York maybe, and so like that's something in her handle. I'm really sorry for not, I will definitely link the pattern and everything below so that you can find it. But Tori, and I have seen like she is just incredible with the accessory patterns, has some really great beanie patterns. Manhattan hat has become really popular, and I really wanted to make one. So I also thought that it would be really fun to do the Manhattan mitts as well, because then it would match my hat, and yeah, I just thought it would be fun. So I decided to cast on the mitts. I actually cast it on Saturday night after I got back home from work, and the intent was that this would be a project I would work on while we were headed to Portland on Sunday, because very incredibly and graciously, my friend Maya drove the entire day for us. I drove from Seattle to Tacoma, and then she drove like the entire rest of the day. So I got lots of knitting time while she was driving. And so I basically knit this entire thing just on Sunday. I didn't knit at night, like on our drive home, because it was too dark, but I did knit this. I haven't done the thumb yet, but otherwise it's done. And it has a really cool, like the increases on the hand are really cool. Sorry, that's kind of like an awkward way for me to hold my hand, but yeah, it's basically just a 1x1 rib, and then it has a really cool decrease at the top of the mitts right here, and it matches the decreases on the hat, which I think is really fun, and so it'll match really well. So I can't wait to knit the second mitt, and then I can knit the hat too. And so I did the first mitt, and then I cast on the second mitt actually this morning because I wanted something that was small and portable for taking on the go with me. So I cast this on this morning,
and it will knit up so quickly. I think this is going to be my commute knitting. So like when I'm headed to La Mercerie, when I'm on the ferry, on the bus, this will be my project, I think, and it's going to come together so quickly. Like I am anticipating having the mitts done at least like by the end of this week. Also today, did I say what day it is? I feel like I never said what day it is. Today is Tuesday, February 28th, so it's actually the last day of February today. Sorry, I got distracted. I was checking my phone and then I saw messages and I got distracted. So, Manhattan mitts, and then I have enough yarn since I got 2 skeins to make a hat as well, and I'm gonna still have quite a bit left over, I think. So I'm not sure what else I'll make with that, but yes. So that is WIP work in progress number 1. I also cast on a new design. So I talked about this one last time. I had done the swatch and I showed you the swatch, but I have a new design that I've cast on, and I never really know like what the right thing is. Like, should I just like tell y'all everything about it, or should I like, you know, keep up some like mystery, or I don't know. But I'm the type of person that wants to share. Like, I want you guys to know about it. So I'm just gonna tell you everything about it. You know, maybe for a minute I was like, maybe I'll keep it mysterious. No, I'm not gonna keep it mysterious. I'm gonna show it to you and I'm gonna tell you all about it. So I am knitting a new t-shirt design. And the basic idea is that it is a similar construction to Dad's sweater. So those of you all that are those of you that are familiar with that pattern, it is a sweater of mine that I released last year. It's top down, and it has sleeves that you pick up and then do short rows on the shoulder to make it like a set-in sleeve look, rather than having to seam those sleeves in. So no seaming, and it's a really fun construction. You knit the back and then the front and join at the underarm, and then you pick up and do short rows on the sleeves. So I really wanted to do a t-shirt in a very similar construction, but also in a different weight of yarn. So the sweater is in Corrie worsted, which is actually, I would say, closer to like a DK weight yarn. And this t-shirt is in Purl Soho linen quill, which is a fingering weight yarn with a really fun fiber content as well. It is a blend of wool and alpaca and linen. And so there's not a ton of linen in it, but I do think that the linen gives it a really fun, almost like, sorry, I have a couple of stitches that just slid off. So I'm trying to get those back on. I'm not doing this well right now. Stay on there. Okay. But, oh, shoot, I may have to fix that a little bit later. But anyway, it gives a really nice fabric that I think is great for a t-shirt. Even though it's still like wool and alpaca, I think it's a really beautiful summer fabric. And it's not knit at a super dense gauge, so it is still like pretty nice and light. But the idea is, I also love with my designs and with my patterns to play with color. A lot of my other designs, other than Dad's sweater, are plays on like using mini skeins or scraps. So I have a couple of stripey patterns. I really love using like putting color together in my designs, and so that's something I wanted to do here as well. Even though it's a basic t-shirt, the idea is that all of the edgings are going to be in different colors, which I think is going to be really fun. And so the color palette I have this beautiful cream color. So this is the colorway Pale Oats. Is going to be the main color, and then I have some little bits. These are actually left over from another project I did in linen quill, but these are going to be the edgings. The edgings of the t-shirt are going to be in these colors, which I think is just going to have a really fun kind of like retro t-shirt vibe. I love these colors. They're very much like my colors, I think. And I think it's just going to be really fun. And of course, like anyone could knit this in just like a solid color. You don't have to do the colorful edgings, and I will likely knit up a sample later on that is just a solid color as well, because I mean, I want one, but also I want folks to be able to see what that looks like. And so I cast this on a little while ago. I guess I cast it on Friday, maybe. And this is the back. So I have just done the back, and there are some short rows to make the back neck a little bit higher. You can't really see any of this very well, but this is the start of the back panel. And so it'll sit like there. And I'm doing my design process for this one is a little bit different than I've done in the past. Normally I just knit my size and I take notes as I go for any new designs, and then I will later go back in, put all the numbers in that I used, and grade it out from there. But for this one, because I was actually had a lot of the framework set up already because the construction is so similar to Dad's sweater, I went in and started filling out the grading spreadsheet before I actually got started on my size, and then now I'm just following the numbers that I have graded out for my size. So that made things a little bit easier, I guess harder in some ways, easier in some ways. But I really I'm really liking the way the process is working up this time. And so I may do things more like this in the past or in the future as well. And the other thing is it's been a while since I've designed anything or like started a new design project. I really wanted to make sure to give myself some space after finishing the year with a couple of patterns late at the end of 2022. I had kind of a sprint to get Dad's sweater and also the holiday shawl finished by the end of the year. And I love both of those projects, and it was really fun, and I'm really happy with the way they turned out, but it was also just kind of like hectic at times, and with the holidays and traveling home and everything, I just was, I think, ready to take a little bit of a breather. And I just really didn't want to force it. I didn't want to put pressure on myself like, oh, you have to be working on this because you have to produce X patterns or like in a year or whatever. I just didn't want to put that kind of pressure on myself because I could feel myself and it was totally from myself, like not external at all. My own pressure I was putting on myself, I think, was kind of sucking a lot of the fun and the joy and the inspiration out of it. And so I needed to just like take a little bit of a step back, take some time, and then come back to it when I was ready. So I'm ready now. I'm working on this one. I'm really excited about this one, but I'm already thinking about all the other ideas I have, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to like execute all of those ideas, but I'm really, really excited about it. I'm excited about this one too. I think it's going to be such a really fun, basic, I think it's going to be a quick knit too. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying working on it so far. So that is my second work in progress. And then my third work in progress is a new cast on that I actually cast on last night. And I'm using some of the yarn I got in Portland at the Rose City Yarn Crawl. So you all may remember, I got this beautiful red Suri alpaca yarn from Woolen Folk in New York at like Rhinebeck weekend. Got this yarn, and I really wanted something to pair it with because I almost never use like the lace weight mohair and silk or Suri and silk yarns by themselves. I almost always hold them together with a strand of like a wool. And so I was thinking like I wanted to get another yarn to pair with this. And then I had in mind this sweater I wanted to make that I actually ended up going with. And I cast on the Auer sweater by Sari Nordlund. It's spelled A-U-E-R. And it's just a beautiful basic stockinette sweater. And I know that that's like a lot of what I knit, but also that's a lot of what I wear. And so I'm going to just keep knitting the things that I want to wear. And so I'm going to keep knitting like pretty basic stockinette sweaters, maybe with Suri and a wool strand held together because that is what I love. But In Portland at Naughty Lamb, actually, which is a yarn store down in the Portland area, I saw this stunning red yarn from Life in the Long Grass. And I've never worked with Life in the Long Grass before, and I've always wanted to. I have seen their colors like online and stuff, and they're just beautiful. And so I saw this yarn and was like, I think this would be a really good match for the Suri I have at home. And of course, I did not bring it with me, but I did buy this with the hope that it would match well. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, I did freak out and spiral a little bit after I bought it. I did buy it and then freak out that it wasn't the right color. I was freaking out, and like, bless Maya, my friend who was with me, because I was really spiraling. And she was so kind to me, even when I was like nonsensical. But then I came home and it's seriously perfect. Like, it could not be a better match, I feel like. I don't know how well the camera is showing it. I mean, the Life in the Long Grass is a little bit darker, that's for sure. But I feel like in tone, these two are just like a perfect match. And I kind of like the lighter Suri. I think it'll give it kind of like a glowy feel. And like, look at that. Are you not obsessed with that? Like, I am just so in love with this color. And so I decided to go for it. I actually, this yarn is a sport weight yarn. This is Life in the Long Grass, and this is their sport base. I guess it's just called sport, and it's a 100% superwash merino. So like, no nylon or anything in it. The pattern that I'm knitting, Auer, calls for a fingering weight and a lace weight held together. And sport weight, of course, is heavier than fingering. And the Suri is actually heavier than the mohair that the pattern calls for. So I gauge swatched last night. I actually went down a needle size to kind of adjust for this, and it made a nice fabric that I was happy with, but my gauge was off. And so I'm actually just knitting one size smaller than I otherwise would. And it's going to be a quite large, like quite a lot of positive ease. I think I did the math and I should get around 10 inches of positive ease for this sweater, which is actually close to what I have here. So like, I think it'll be good. I'm not worried about it. But here is my yarn caked up. Sorry, I don't want to pull more stitches off like I did before. This is just kind of, this is my project so far. It's bottom up. And you know, y'all, I don't love that about it. That is a downside. I prefer to knit sweaters top down. But you know what? You win some, you lose some. And this is really just tangled. Okay, I got it. So this is what I have so far. I have literally cast on, and I did one row, and I was gonna do more. I cast on last night and I was gonna do more, and then instead of knitting more, I spent an hour spinning. And I'll talk about my spinning in a second too. Oh my gosh, it's already over 50 minutes and I haven't even started talking about my spinning. Y'all, I have hinted that I bought a wheel and I haven't even started talking about that, and I'm gonna talk about that for who knows how long. But I have just only done the one row, but let me show you all what the yarn looks like caked up, because it's beautiful and I'm in love with it. And I wasn't really planning to cast this on like right away, but I loved it so much that I couldn't not. And then so I did. And I also think that it's a good thing to have on my needles right now while I'm doing the like somewhat complicated parts of my new design project, because I have to think about that. And I really like to have a project on my needles that I don't really have to think about. And so this will be really nice. Since it's bottom up, I don't have to think at all. I'm literally just knitting a giant tube for a while until I have to, I think the way this one is constructed is you actually, no seaming, luckily, it is like a reverse raglan, or I guess it's still a raglan, but it's just a bottom up raglan. You knit the body bottom up, and then you knit the sleeves bottom up as well, and then you like kind of attach them all together, and then you do decreases for the raglan. So, don't love that it's bottom up. I'm like, how am I going to make sure the sleeves are the right length? Like, I'm just gonna trust it. I don't know. There's still some things to figure out, but it's beautiful. I love the color, and yeah, it was just like, it wasn't, I don't want to say it was an impulse cast on, but it kind of was an impulse cast on last night. So those are the only things I have on the needles right now. Yeah, I'm trying to think about if I have anything else. I still have those socks I need to put heels in, but those are going to be waiting for a long time. And that's it. And I'm so excited about all of the projects I have right now. I feel like they're beautiful and fun. I've got a new design. I've got a fun garment. I've got a really fun accessory with some like speckled yarn. It's just, I think I have a really good set of projects right now. So I'm really happy with that. Let's talk about spinning. So I started talking about spinning in my last episode. Actually, I guess I talked about it briefly before that as well, but I think this is now a knitting and spinning podcast. I'm just gonna warn you. And if you don't love that, I'm sorry for that. And I'll split up the knitting and the spinning, and so I can tell you when I'm gonna start talking about spinning, and you can leave if you want to, but this is also a spinning podcast now. And if you don't know what I'm talking about spinning yarn. I'm not talking about some people. I post about this like in my Instagram story, and some people like messaged me and were like, you're going to spin class? Like bicycling class? Like, you know, when you get on the stationary bike and you like, yeah. This is not that. This is not a spin podcast. This is a spinning podcast where we spin yarn. And I bought a wheel. And I'm so, so excited, you guys. I love it so much. I bought the Shocked Ladybug wheel. And there's a whole thing. I bought it from Northwest Yarns, which is actually the folks that I took my spinning class with up in Bellingham. And I had emailed about getting this wheel. And because it's like quite a bit of a drive, it's about an hour-and-a-half drive from where I live in Seattle, I had talked to my husband in office, and we were thinking like, okay, maybe we can just like take a day trip up to Bellingham together when you're ready to go get the wheel. And we were like, okay, well, we were checking our weekend availability, and we didn't really have good availability for about a month. It wasn't going to be until late March, I think, until we were able to go up to Bellingham and get the wheel. And I was like, that's okay. I was renting a wheel. If y'all remember, I talked about last time, I was renting an Ashford Kiwi, and I was really happy with the Kiwi, but I decided I wanted to purchase a wheel, and I decided I wanted to purchase the Ladybug. I'd already actually spun on it. I got a chance to try it out at my last class. I tried out the Ladybug. I really loved it. I should have probably just bought it and brought it home with me that day, but I was like, I'm gonna keep renting for a little bit. So, and then I went home and I was like, I really want the Ladybug. So anyway, I was like, I'm gonna buy the Ladybug. I'll head up to Bellingham in about a month to go get it. And then my friend Maya and I actually also went to Red Alder, which is a fiber festival in Tacoma, which is much closer to me than Bellingham is. So I went to Tacoma, and Northwest Yarns, the folks that have the yarn store that I did the spinning class at and that I wanted to buy my wheel from, actually were at Red Alder. And lo and behold, they actually had the Ladybug there at their booth at Red Alder. And so I went over and like chatted with them. Heather at Northwest Yarns has been super nice and helpful. And I just was chatting with her and was like, is there any way if I go and I get my rental wheel back from Seattle and I come back and I'm back before you guys close up today, could I return it here in Tacoma rather than going up to Bellingham? And then could I like swap it out and purchase the Ladybug today? And she was like, totally go do that. And so we ended up we finished shopping around at the marketplace. We went to brunch. I then drove all the way back to Seattle from Tacoma. It's about a 40-minute drive. Drove to Seattle. I was like cutting it pretty close. And so I actually had to run inside. I had some yarn that I was spinning that was on a bobbin on my Kiwi. So I had to come wind that off of the bobbin and then run right back. I went to go pee, and then I went got right back in my car, strapped the Kiwi in, drove back to Tacoma, and got there about half an hour before the marketplace closed. And I got to find my ladybug. And I took it home with me, and then I sat down and I spun for about 3 straight hours. I was so happy and I was so excited. I love my wheel so much that I just kept spinning and spinning and spinning. And I was a little bit under the weather last week. I wasn't feeling amazing, and so because of that, and I also had to finish this sweater before a roasted yarn crawl. Altogether, it was just like I didn't get as much time to spin as I wanted to, but I have still been spinning, and I want to show you what I've been working on. I also want to show you pictures of my wheel. I guess I could show it to you, but again, this is the thing where like it's pointing at me. I guess this wheel is actually like pretty portable. It has handles. It's kind of deconstructed because I took the bottom. Okay, hello. I got interrupted because my camera battery died, and ooh, I need to drink some water. I should have done that before I started back up, but my camera battery died, and this is my new camera that I got for Christmas, and I forgot that this camera is amazing and can record while plugged in, and so there's really no excuse for my camera battery dying, but I just didn't plug it in because I forgot that. And then actually my camera battery died, and then I went downstairs to talk to my husband. I was like, oh, my battery died, and he was like, was it plugged in? It's like, no, because I forgot that. But I think what I was gonna do was try to show you my wheel, and so I'm gonna go do that now. I'm gonna get it. I guess I also should have done this while I was not recording, but here we are. Okay, this is my wheel, and it's so nice and light, and it has these handles so I can actually bring it here and show it to you, and I'm so in love. I love it so much. I don't have a lot of the, like, I don't have the flyer and everything in here. It's over, well, here's the flyer. And my whirl as well, because I took the bobbins out because I knew I was going to show y'all what I've been spinning on, and so I had already taken those out. So no flyer in here, but this is my ladybug. I'm going to put it down now and not hold it up, but this is what it looks like. And I actually, yesterday, because I'm such a weirdo, I actually did like a whole, I did a whole like photo shoot with my wheel, and I took some, really beautiful pictures of it. Because I wanted to share like with folks online, like on Instagram and stuff, and I also I'm romanticizing my wheel. Like, I just really love it, and so I will try to put a couple of those pictures up here too, so that you can see it. It is a double treadle loom, or I keep saying loom. It's a double treadle wheel. I believe it is what's called castle style, which is just like the way that the like the wheel and the treadles and everything are kind of like positioned and stacked and everything. And I really love it. I can talk more about this in like a separate video if people are interested, or like if you have questions, feel free to reach out, or like if you have any like spinning or wheel questions, I can do my best to answer them. I don't know a lot because I'm still so new and I'm such a beginner at this, but I am really like excited to learn a lot of stuff, and so I'm definitely learning like the terminology and everything right now. But I really love this loom, or why do I keep saying loom? I really love this wheel, and part of the reason I decided on the ladybug is because I thought it would be a really good wheel for me, both now as a beginner and that it would last me for a really long time. Like this, I expect this to be the wheel that I have for the rest of my life. I mean, things could change. I don't anticipate being a person that ends up like purchasing multiple wheels, and like, I honestly don't imagine myself needing to upgrade either. Like, I think in all likelihood, like this is going to be my wheel for the rest of my life is what I am anticipating. And so with that in mind, it's a little bit pricier than some of the other, what people consider to be like beginner or like starter wheels. Like the Kiwi that I was spinning on that I was renting, I really liked. And that was another wheel that I was considering whether I would want to purchase as well. And it's definitely less expensive than the Ladybug, but there were a couple of things that just made me more interested in the ladybug. One, of course, is like, it's beautiful. I love the red wheel. It also has I'll try to put a picture up now of the little enamel ladybug that is in a unique place. Like they put Shocked puts a different one, like one on a different place on every wheel, and I really, really love that. And so love the ladybug. I just like love the design of it and the color and everything. So that was, I mean, I'll be honest, that was like part of the a factor for me. Also another factor for me is that I do actually own a rigid heddle loom, an actual loom. I'm saying the right word this time. And it's from Shocked as well, and it's called the Cricket. And so I have a Cricket loom and a ladybug wheel, and I just thought that was really, really perfect and cute and sweet. And so I have my bug tools, which I love. So, I mean, that wasn't like a real part in my decision making, but I do love that. But a lot of the reasons why I chose the ladybug, it's really nice and light, portable, easy to move around, and like I don't have a place in my house where I'm gonna leave the wheel out all the time, like in front of a chair. I just don't have that kind of room in my house. So this is gonna be something where like I have it kind of like, I had it kind of tucked to the side of my couch, and then when I spin, I bring it out and then I tuck it back. And like, since I was gonna be moving it around a lot, I wanted something that was a little bit lighter and easier to move. This one has handles, multiple handles on it that make it really easy and mobile, so like easy to move around. Another reason is that I think this is a really great wheel to grow on. It comes with 2 different whirls that have multiple ratios on each. There are 2 ratios on each, so you can actually spin on 4 different ratios to begin with. And if you don't spin, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. And I remember when I was there and I was watching like videos of people talking about spinning, I was like, I don't know what any of these words are. And so I'm not going to go into them in depth, but basically the idea is when you treadle, so like when you pedal, there are different settings you can put your wheel on to make it spin different amounts with each like treadle. So basically the ladybug comes baseline with 4 different of those like options, and it also has a lot of other whirls that work with it that you can purchase later on. So I knew that even if I decided like later on I needed a smaller whirl or a larger whirl, if I wanted to spin faster or slower or thinner or thicker yarn, I could do that on the ladybug. The ladybug also has the options to spin with double drive, which is another thing that I don't know about. And I think it also has a flyer, or like maybe you can purchase a flyer. I think there's a way, like this one I'm spinning Scotch tension, which is another thing that I don't really understand. It's something about how the flyer works. I'm saying a whole bunch of terms that like a lot of you probably don't know, and I'm not explaining them well. But basically the idea is I think that the ladybug has a lot of, even if it's not equipped with them right now, there are like additional purchases I can make or like add-ons that I can get that will make this wheel do a lot of the things that I could ever imagine wanting to do in the future, if that makes sense. So I thought that it was a really good wheel that I could grow with, that could grow with me as I continue learning more. And of course, that's going to be a hard decision to make at the beginning of your spinning journey, right? Like I just started spinning and I'm going to invest however much money in a wheel and the tools I need. And like, I don't know, this could be the kind of thing where like I spin for a year and then I'm like, oh, I wish I'd gotten something else. And so like, it's really hard. Like it's a really hard thing to do and like to make a decision. But so far I'm really, really happy with it. The other thing about wheels is that they're just like really personal, you know? And I got the opportunity to spin on a ladybug before I made the purchase, and I loved it so much. It just felt like, I remember calling my husband on the drive home after I had done my spinning class and tried the ladybug, and I was just like telling him how it just felt perfect. It felt like I'm getting emotional about this and I don't need to, but it's almost like, you know, when people describe like when you try on the perfect wedding dress and you know that it's your dress, you know, and like I had that experience as well. Like I found my perfect wedding dress and I got emotional then, and I bought that dress and wore it to my wedding and it was great. But I feel like I almost had like a similar feeling about like you sit down at the wheel and you start like spinning on it and it just feels right, you know? And you'll know that I'm like a very emotional person. And so I was like spinning on the wheel and I was like emotional about it. I was like, this feels right to me. And so
I think that was like probably, if not for all the other reasons, also like a really big factor for me. And like maybe I was setting myself up for that because I already had looked online and was like, I think I want a ladybug. And also, gonna be honest, my friend Maya has a ladybug and she had recommended it, and I love to match my friend Maya. We match sweaters. I was like, I would love to match wheels too. And so like I went into spinning on the ladybug like expecting that I was gonna love it, but then when I actually did, I was like, this feels amazing. Like, I really do love it. So I bought the ladybug and it's mine now, and I own a wheel and I'm spinning on it and I'm really loving it. And so I wanted to show you how my spinning is going. So I also have a ton of fiber. Oh my gosh, y'all, we haven't even gotten to acquisitions yet. Oh boy, it's oh my goodness. This is gonna be a long one, but we're gonna do our best. So I got with my wheel, Northwest Yarns also definitely recommend if you are looking to get into spinning. I would highly recommend. They have some really, really great, they just are really well set up for folks that want to get started spinning. So they have the classes, which are great, but also a lot of the other options that they offer, like you can rent your wheel from them, and any money that you spend on your wheel rental goes toward the purchase of a wheel with them if you buy your wheel from them, which is just like an incredible thing that they do. Like, how amazing is that? But also, I didn't even know this before I bought my wheel, but with the purchase of your wheel, they also give you for free a pound of fiber, which is just like so nice. So I have a whole bunch of fiber. I've also bought a ton of other fiber. I'm knee deep in fiber. We're all in on fiber. But I wanted to show you, sorry, I'm just looking at my bobbin now and I had some pigtails that I'm unpigtailing. I want to show you what I've been working on. So I talked about this in my last episode. I think I already had the fiber for this. I am doing a marled spin. I also believe I'm learning, I think this is called a combo spin because the two plies are different, like from different places, different fibers. So I have these two. The gray is a BFL that I also got from Northwest Yarns, and I'll show you guys. You can see there's some pigtails in there, which if you don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know what's a good one to show you on here. This is a nice pigtail-y one. You can see where it's kind of like coiled up on itself. That means that I probably put too much twist in it and it's overspun. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm still learning, but I basically I spun all of this the day that I got home with my wheel. I sat down and I spun, this is about 3 ounces of fiber, and I spun all of it just like in one sitting. Maybe it's like 2.5 ounces. I just sat down at the wheel and I spun for like hours, and I spun all of the BFL. And then the next morning I started spinning. This is merino in a beautiful cream, and I actually have the rest of my fiber here. This is what the fiber looks like, and this is my bobbin, and you can tell I'm getting better. No pigtails. I'm definitely getting better. I'm a little worried that this one might actually be underspun. Maybe not the top layer. Some of the stuff underneath might be underspun because the merino is just like really slick, and so it runs away. And again, I know people who don't spin probably won't know what I'm talking about, but the way that the drawback is set up, like the way that the fiber is like kind of pulled onto the bobbin, sometimes if you have a slick fiber, it'll just kind of go. And so if it goes too quick, if you're drafting and it's just running into the wheel, I'm saying all these terms and I'm not defining them, and I'm gonna have to think about this before the next episode and decide like how I want to approach the spinning stuff, like if I want to start from ground zero or if I want to just talk about it, because I'm realizing that I'm probably being really confusing. And so that I'm making a note in my mind to think about that and how I want to approach this next time. But for now, I'm just gonna say that the merino kind of just like
so you can't hold on to it long enough because it's so slick that it doesn't get enough twist in it. And so I had to adjust my wheel settings, and I think I'm doing a lot better with it now. And I think I have enough twist in it now for it to kind of stick together. But I still have the rest of this that I need to spin onto this bobbin, and then I'm going to apply these two bobbins together, and then I'm going to knit a hat with them. And I actually got another yarn to hold together with this to knit a hat, and I'll show you that in my acquisition section. But I also wanted to show you all the other fiber that I've gotten because it's really beautiful and I'm really excited about it, and I wanted to show it to you. So this is my current spinning project. I'm anticipating being able to finish these singles in the next like couple of days maybe, and then hopefully like next week I'll be able to apply them together. I'm waiting on a couple of tools. I need to get a Lazy Kate and a Nitty Naughty so that I can ply my yarn and I can wind it off as well. So I placed an order for a couple of those items, and I'm actually expecting them to arrive tomorrow. So hopefully that'll come in, and then I can ply my yarn, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. So let's talk fiber, because I have already acquired quite a lot, and I've got lots of projects planned. So I guess this is kind of the start of an acquisition section. I'll do fiber first, and then I'll talk about my yarn acquisitions too, because I have a couple of those. I guess I already told you about the Life in the Long Grass, so I just have a couple others. Sorry, my mouth is just really dry. Okay, first up, let me show you the fiber that I got with my wheel. So from Northwest Yarns, I also got, I mean, these are like probably not super cool to show on camera because they're like, you can't feel it, and that's like what's the coolest about this. But I really wanted to try spinning Rambouillet. I've heard really good things about it, except Tashi from Stitches and Starlight. She always says that Rambouillet is her nemesis, and so other than from Tashi, I've heard from other folks that Rambouillet, they really love it. So I wanted to get some Rambouillet, and I probably would have just gotten a pound of Rambouillet, except they only had 8 ounces. So I did get the 8 ounces they had of Rambouillet in this beautiful cream color, and it feels amazing. It feels really good. I can't wait to spin with it. Rambouillet is, I think, a fine wool, which is more similar to like merino, so it's like really nice and soft, and like will probably be difficult to spin for that reason. But I think it'll make a beautiful yarn. So I got 8 ounces of this beautiful Rambouillet, and then because I got a whole pound, I ended up just getting more of the gray BFL. So this is the same BFL that I spun up onto this bobbin. I just got more of it. So I got 8 ounces of the BFL, and I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with these. I have the idea that I want to spin yarn to make a Cinnabar shawl, which is a shawl pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I think I might use the white as a main color, so I might just spin the white with itself, ply it with itself, and do that as a main color. I could also do the white and the gray marled for a main color. I'm not sure, but I also have some fiber, I think, for the contrast color too, which I'll show you in a minute as well. But I may just do the white. I may just do the white by itself as the main color. And then the gray, I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking about maybe using it and holding it with like a hand dyed. So like spin up 1 ply of a hand dyed and then do 1 ply of this to do like a marl, the gray and the hand dyed together. And do maybe like a sweater, like a garment. If I have 8 ounces of this, I think that's probably enough to do just like 1 ply of. So we'll see. But I don't have fiber for that necessarily yet. So I'll probably hold on to this for a minute, but I do have 8 ounces of BFL and 8 ounces of Rambouillet. And then I got some hand-dyed fiber, which I'm really excited about. I got this beautiful fiber from Hello Yarn, and it is called Seagrass, and it is Cheviot is the name of the breed, and it's just beautiful. And like, y'all, these colors, like, it's amazing. It's mostly this like mustardy color.
but it also has these really fun, like light blue bits. And it has some like darker, I'm not normally like a brown person, but I feel like this is kind of like golden enough. I'm getting fiber in my mouth. Ugh. The Cheviot definitely feels rougher. It does not feel as soft as like even the BFL, but definitely not as soft as like the Merino and the Rambouillet. I don't know. I'm still learning about, gosh, I'm getting so much fiber in my mouth. I'm still learning about sheep breeds and what that means for how they feel and how they spin and everything. I've gotten some recommendations for some like additional resources, like books or other online resources to learn about this, and so I'm definitely excited to dive in there. But the Cheviot definitely feels rougher. And Hello Yarn, I wish I knew her name. I'm gonna look it up really quick because I feel really bad for not knowing it. Adrian from Hello Yarn. In the listing on this fiber, she mentioned that this would be a great sturdy yarn to use for pretty much anything, like socks. I think she had said specifically, I don't remember what else she said there. I just kind of zeroed in on the socks. And so I was like, I think I'm gonna try to spin this for socks. I think I can do it. Originally I thought I might just try to do a 2-ply because I thought that would make roughly like a fingering weight yarn. But after talking with Maya about it, I think for socks, something a little bit like a 3-ply would be more like sturdier. And so even if it's a little heavier than a fingering weight yarn, it's probably best to have a 3-ply. So I think I'm going to do a 3-ply. I also am trying to learn about fractal spinning. And that's basically just like how you set up your yarns and how you set up your plies to, when you have hand-dyed fiber, how you set them up to, how you set up your colors to shift in each ply, and then like how it will come together in the single strand. And so I need to learn more about that. I don't know yet what I'm going to do as far as how I'm going to choose like what kind of fractals to do, but I do think I'm going to do a fractal spin for this fiber. And I actually have, so the last fiber I got also from Hello Yarn. I got a patchwork kit, which is a really fun, just like, it's a pound of fiber, and it's a bundle of just like little hand-dyed bits that she had. So I don't actually know the fiber content of a lot of them, any of them. I don't know the fiber content of any of them, and they all, like, a lot of them feel different. But included in this one, there's actually a bundle that I think may be the exact same as my sock fiber. Like, doesn't this look the same? It's a little brighter actually, looking at it now. This part is like a little brighter than any of the rest of this one. But it has that blue piece in it, and it also feels exactly the same. And none of the other bundles in the patchwork kit feel like this one. So I'm pretty sure this is like the same fiber, and I think I'm gonna just spin it with this one. And then I'll have more, because like I don't use a full 4 ounces or like 100 grams for a pair of socks because my feet are pretty small. So then I'll have enough left over. If I spin this with it, I'll probably have enough left over that I could do for like the contrast color for a hat, or like I could do something with it maybe. So that is for that spin. And then I got a patchwork kit. So Maya and I actually each got a patchwork kit, and then before we drove down to Portland, we got all of our little bundles out, and we opened it and put them all out on a table, and we ended up like, she got one bag, I got one bag, we got all of our little bundles out, and then we actually did some swapping and made these like color palettes ourselves and like mix and matched and everything. And so I'm really excited. I have a couple here, these 4 that I think go together somewhat, and I'm not sure what I'm going to use them for. I don't know if I'll use them for anything together or if I'll just hold on to them, but these 4 kind of go together, and then the rest of them all gave me kind of like a sunset-y vibe that I think I'm going to do. I can't hold them all at once, so I'm going to just show you like a couple at a time.
Oh my gosh, this fiber. It's like in my mouth, getting in my throat. I have fiber everywhere. But they're all like this kind of pinky yellow. There are some that have like darker kind of purpley bits. And like this one has like a little purple and brown, but for the most part, they're all these like pink and yellow kind of sunset colors. And I think I'm gonna spin all of these together for the contrast color for Cinnabar. And I think that will just be really perfect. I think, yeah, I think it's gonna be beautiful. So I'm gonna put these all back now. And I think that would be really pretty with the Rambouillet as like a main color, and then all the sunsetty colors. Yeah, I'm really excited about that idea. So that feels like a big project, and that feels like something that I don't feel ready for yet because I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. So I'm gonna do the sock spin first and just like managing the color of like all these different bundles and deciding how to prep my fiber and like all of that feels overwhelming to me right now. So I'm gonna start just with the socks, just the sock spin, and we're gonna see how that goes. And hopefully everything goes well, and then maybe after that I'll be ready to do. I could start with the main color. I could do the main color Cinnabar and then do the contrast, maybe. I'm not sure. We're still figuring it out. I'm still very new, but I'm really having a lot of fun. I'm really, really enjoying it, and I just want to keep doing it. I just want to keep spinning, and I continue buying fiber. I signed up for the Nest Club. Nest Fiber is also a hand-dyed fiber brand, and I think I talked about this last week or last episode, but I did sign up for the Nest Fiber Club, so I'm gonna get 4 ounces of hand-dyed fiber every month. And I just got notified yesterday that my fiber for February shipped. So that's pretty exciting. Was it for February or March? I don't know if she does it at the beginning or the end of the month. I kind of think it was for February. But I guess it doesn't matter. And that's it. That's the spinning stuff. So let me know. I mean, like, don't be rude about it if you hate the spinning. But, like, let me know if there's stuff you are interested in. I guess you can tell me if you are like, I don't love the spinning. I don't know. Just be gentle, but also, like, inform me what your thoughts are. If there are questions you have that I can try to figure out, or if you have questions about getting started and my experience, I would be happy to talk about that. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. So that was spinning and fiber acquisitions. The last thing I have is yarn acquisitions. So I went to Rose City Yarn Crawl on Sunday and had an amazing time, super fun. We didn't end up going, I think there were 9 stores participating, and we were only there for a day, and we did not want to, like, actually, those of you that have watched the podcast for a while may remember I went to Rose City Yarn Crawl last year as well, and my friends Sylvan and Katie and I actually did go to all 8 stores in one day, and that was wild. It was packed, but with, like, there was a little bit of weather, and we didn't end up, like, going as early, and so we wanted to be able to stop and eat brunch and stuff. We just decided, Maya and I decided this year we did not want to try to crush ourselves to go to all 9 stores. So we went to, I think, 5 stores, which is still quite a lot, and had a really great time. We started out and got brunch at like a biscuit place that was nearby. I think it was called Pine State Biscuits, and it was super tasty. And we started by going to Ritual Dyes, and we also actually ran into some like friends that we knew there. We ran into Allie and Darren from Explore Knits, and we ran into Jackie, who was traveling with them, who's like Woolen Oaks on Instagram, and we ran into Jess actually as well, who is like Suri, and because she was there with the ampersand yarn at Ritual Dyes, and so that was really fun to get to chat with everyone at the beginning of the day. And then, yeah, we went to, I'm trying to remember, I don't remember exactly what order we went to. I think we went to Starlight Knitting Society next, and then we went to Close Knit, I think, and then Weird Sisters, and then Naughty Lamb. So those are the 5 that we went to. Had a really great experience. All those stores were great. And I ended up buying just a couple things. So I already showed you, this is the red yarn that I got from Naughty Lamb, The Life in the Long Grass. And then the only other place I actually bought anything at was at Weird Sisters. They had a pop-up with Sea Change fibers, and they had some really fun yarn blends. Like, it wasn't what you expect from like standard indie dyed yarn, which is normally just like 100% superwash merino or like merino nylon mixes. They actually had some really cool yarn blends. They had some Rambouillet, they had some Cormo, they had some merino and Rambouillet mixes. And I just really fell in love with the way this one felt. So I got 2 skeins. This is the only 2 skeins they had. This is the Ravine Heathered Fingering Base. So it's fingering weight yarn, and it's 100% gray British Cormo. And I'll show you guys a little bit of a close-up. It's just a beautiful natural color. And I really love it. So this brand I'd never seen before. They're from Santa Cruz, California, and have like a cute little octopus logo. And they had some really beautiful dyed colors as well, but I just really liked the natural color. It was really connecting with me. So I'm not sure quite what I'll make with this. At first I thought I'd just get 1 skein and maybe make a hat, but now I'm thinking I might make the Strata vest. That is a new pattern that came out by Jacqueline Cieslak. I think this would be a really cute Strata vest. I think it'd be a really fun one to layer. I don't know if I would wear it a ton just like as a tank. I think if I did it in this color, that would really be one that I would want to layer on top of other stuff. So I'm not sure yet. Maybe we'll do something different. I'm not sure, but I do have this, and the Cormo just feels so good. I am really feeling Cormo. And if you don't know what Cormo is, I probably should have explained that. Cormo is the breed of sheep. And it is, I think, for some reason I have in my head that Cormo is like a Corrie del Merino mix. Corrie del Merino, kind of. And that may be true. It may not be true. I may be misremembering that. But Cormo feels amazing. And then the only other yarn that I got was also from Weird Sisters. They had this yarn. It is the Brushed Suri DK from Blue Sky Fibers. Blue Sky Fibers, also, I have seen their yarns a ton, and I don't think I've ever bought it before. This I saw, I had been keeping an eye out because I actually really wanted to get a cream Suri to hold with my heathered yarn, my heathered handspun yarn to make a hat. I thought it might be nice because this yarn may be like a little bit thick and thin, and there may be some spot, like since it's my first real handspun that I'm gonna knit with, I thought it might be nice to hold it with a strand of something else to give it a little bit of structure, because I'm nervous that it may like split or I don't know. So yeah, I thought I wanted to hold it with something else. I also, full transparency, again, my friend Maya knit a very similar hat with her first handspun, and I am shamelessly trying to match her in everything that I do. So I had to get some cream Suris so that I could hold it with my handspun so that I can make a very similar hat. So when I first picked this up, I was like, oh, this feels amazing. Like, it feels incredible. I thought it was just like a standard, what you normally get for like a Suri silk blend. The fiber content's actually a little bit different. It is 67% baby Suri alpaca, 22% fine merino, 11% bamboo. So there's no silk in it. It's mostly alpaca and merino and bamboo. And I think the bamboo serves a similar purpose to like the silk in a normal like Suri silk. They call it a DK, but based on like weight and yardage, I think it's actually closer to like a sport or a fingering weight. But you can tell that the strand is thicker than like a normal lace weight Suri. So there is like a little bit more there than you normally get with Suri. But I cannot explain to you how incredible this feels. I really, really wish you could feel it. It's amazing. I mean, you can tell when you look at it, like how fluffy it is. It feels incredible. It feels better than probably any yarn I've ever felt in my whole life. I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but I'm not kidding with you. It feels so good. And I know that the like yarn weight is like heavier than I was kind of expecting. And I don't know what yarn weight I'm going to get with this, but like whatever it is, I can figure it out. Like I can find a hat pattern that will work with these two together. And so I think it's just going to be, I don't know, it's going to be an amazing hat. It's hand spun and the softest yarn I've ever felt in my life. Like, what could be better than that? I just feel like it's going to be perfect. So that's it. That's all I got. That's the whole acquisition. I already talked about Rose City Yarn Crawl. I feel like I've been talking for one entire eternity, so I should probably stop talking at some point. There's actually a little bit of sun right now, which I don't understand what Seattle weather is doing, because literally a few hours ago it was hailing and I was like hydroplaning in my car, and now it's like really sunny. And like I don't know what's going on. But it's sunny and we need to take Norman out for a walk. So I'll probably leave it here. I normally do like somewhat of like a life update, but I feel like there's not a ton to share. I mean, I went to Rose City Yarn Crawl. That was super fun. I don't think we made brunch last week, did we? Oh, we made quiche. We made quiche because Nofis got me pie weights, like as a Christmas gift, which is really sweet. And I had been asking for it, and so he got me, I can see fiber floating in the air, like no wonder it's in my mouth. He got me pie weights, and so I wanted to make quiche to try out the pie weights, and the pie weights worked great. And we made a really lovely quiche. So we made quiche. This weekend for Sunday brunch, I think we're gonna make biscuit sandwiches, like biscuit breakfast sandwiches. I may or may not have been inspired by the brunch that we had in Portland, because we had biscuit sandwiches there. But they're gonna be totally different because those were like fried chicken biscuit sandwiches, and we're not gonna make fried chicken in our home. So we're just gonna do like an egg, bacon, and cheese biscuit, which should be super tasty. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. The Explore Knits pop-up is this Saturday at La Mercerie on Bainbridge Island. So if you're local, please come hang out with us. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be so much fun. The yarn is so beautiful. So come hang out. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I feel like you guys can probably tell I'm feeling really, really excited and energized by all my making. Even just looking at everything I have around me right now, all of it feels so good. It feels so me. Like, I think I'm really doing a good job of like following my knitting joy and spinning now, I guess, my making joy. Just like really kind of diving headfirst into things that I love. And I even felt this when I was shopping this weekend in Portland. Was like, there were a lot of things I found that I liked, and there were only a few things I found that I loved. And I think I'm to the point now where like I have a big enough of a stash, but I'm also just like, the way that I'm thinking about my making is like, if I'm gonna invest the time and the energy that it takes to do this, sorry, my throat, oh, you can probably guess what I was gonna say. Did not mean to leave you on a cliffhanger there. If I'm gonna invest the time and the energy into it, I really wanna love it. Like, not just like it, I want to love it. And so I'm thinking about that when it comes to the yarns that I'm using, the projects that I'm making, how I'm spending my time. I just really want to love it. Oh my gosh, y'all, I definitely got like fiber in my throat. Ah! So I'm going to call it here. I'm gonna go get, this probably isn't the best thing for my throat, but I'm gonna go get like a little Easter candy is out at the grocery store. So I'm gonna go get a little chocolate egg, and I'm gonna hope that that soothes my throat. I need to stop talking. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're calling it. This was long enough already. Ah! Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an excellent week. I hope you do lots of knitting, and I hope you do watch lots of baseball. Oh my gosh. I'm dying. Ah! I'm basically done. You can watch baseball now because spring training started. And I also hope you do knitting and spinning and everything that makes you happy. Follow your making joy. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.